hours, testimony from whistleblowers on Capitol Hill, and reporting exclusively by News Nation, there are signs the Department of Defense is focusing more attention on unidentified anomalous phenomena, also known as UAPs or UFOs. News Nation's Joe Khalil live for us at the Pentagon today. Joe, what are we learning?
Yeah, so the development today, Natasha, is that AARO, the program within the Pentagon that's tasked with investigating UAPs and UFO reports, getting a bit of a shakeup at the very top of its leadership. We now know it's going to fall directly under Deputy Secretary of Defense Kathleen Hicks. Now, the director of AARO right now, a man named Sean Kirkpatrick, he's not going anywhere. He's going to stay in his role, only now he's going to directly answer to Hicks. This is a move that the Pentagon confirmed for News Nation earlier this afternoon. We're expecting the Department of Defense to make a bigger announcement on this sometime later today. But the questions we have are, what is this actually going to mean, and why is this happening, and why now? We're hoping to get more answers at the Pentagon briefing, which is happening about 45 minutes from now. Here's what we do know, though. Deputy Secretary Hicks told Defense Scoop that the decision was made to help move AARO further along as a program, help grow the agency, and also to manage as it creates a brand new website that it's publishing very soon. The idea behind that website, it's supposed to be publishing and making public all of its unclassified material. Not something AARO is voluntarily doing. That was actually a mandate from Congress. So it's going to do that. And it's also going to allow for people all across the country to submit if they have UAP or UFO sightings directly to the Pentagon. So that's going to be a big undertaking here. Now, Deputy Secretary Hicks is going to be overseeing that. The other thing that we're trying to figure out, just more about the secretary herself. She's currently the highest ranking woman in the Department of Defense. She's been in her current role since 2021. Before that, she served under the Obama administration as Deputy Undersecretary of Defense for Policy. So what her role is with AARO, we're not exactly sure how much interaction she has had yet. Again, hopefully we can get some answers to that. Now, there has been some criticism of AARO, particularly from whistleblower David Grush and others who claim that elements of AARO were not being transparent with the public or with Congress about what they knew. Others suggested that AARO wasn't really even in the know about certain allegations when it comes to UAPs and UFO reports being hidden from the public. So that has been an ongoing discussion. More recently, AARO's director, Sean Kirkpatrick, has been very critical of David Grush and others who've come forward and who've given testimony before Congress. So a lot happening now within the agency as they grow and as they hit this moment now where we're talking about UAPs and UFOs more often, Natasha. So we're going to see what this new leadership change is actually going to mean for this agency.
Certainly. All right, Joe Khalil tracking this live for us at the Pentagon. Thank you so much.
Nick, what's your reaction first to this All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, also known as AARO? That's the place where they can upload the info that they see, the employees, and then the rest of us actually get to consume what the government knows.
Yes, they've existed for some time, but this website went live today. And it is a step in the right direction, for sure. But on the other hand, it is something that has been mandated in the current defense bill that they should do. So they are really only fulfilling a remit that they have had for some time and are actually a little bit late on. But it's good news that the big complaint from people will be, look, this is for the government and the military. What about the public? There's still nowhere for them to report their sightings.
Information on unidentified anomalous phenomenon, or UAPs, will be made public very soon. The Department of Defense is launching a new website for U.S. service members to report UAP sightings. The Pentagon describes the site as a one-stop shop for publicly sharing current findings on UAPs, including declassified photos, videos, and other material on sightings and potential threats. News Nation Washington correspondent Joe Khalil was at the briefing today at the Pentagon where officials announced the new initiative. Tell us all about it, Joe.
Yeah, a couple of changes coming, Elizabeth. That one you just mentioned, the website, they're also getting a little bit of a shakeup in terms of their leadership. All of it, the Pentagon says, is meant to make everything more transparent around UFOs and UAPs for the public. But there are still a lot of questions because what they're releasing is the unclassified material. What about the classified material? Why is that still private, and what is that really? Change is coming to the agency within the Pentagon that investigates UFO reports. AARO, or the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, will now answer directly to the Deputy Secretary of Defense, Kathleen Hicks.
It highlights the importance of the program to the department and the fact that it has the Deputy Secretary's full attention.
AARO will soon be publishing a website making publicly available all unclassified UFO reports it has, complete with witness accounts, videos, and pictures, according to Pentagon spokesman General Pat Ryder, a step toward full transparency. In a recent congressional hearing, former Air Force intel officer David Grush claimed under oath he believes the government is running a secret program to reverse engineer non-human origin UFOs, which it has in its possession. A controversial claim, one Grush says is based on interviews he has done with dozens of people who work in national defense.
People started confiding in me. They approached me. I have plenty of current and former senior intelligence officers that came to me, many of which I knew almost my whole career, that confided in me they were a part of a program. They named the program.
We asked the Pentagon whether any of those interviews would be made public or whether any of the people Grush spoke with would be made available to Congress. Are any of those reports going to be published on this website, those interviews?
As I understand it, AARO is very willing to take any inputs or information and to investigate into claims of UAP. And so if that information is made available to the department, certainly we'll take a look at it.
So, Elizabeth, you just heard General Ryder say if that information that David Grush is talking about is given to AARO, they will take a look at it, potentially publish it. But Grush has been saying, I've had this information, I've had these interviews, and I'm trying to give it to AARO, and they won't meet with me, they will not take it. So there's a disconnect there that I think we need to work on getting to the bottom of. One more thing about this website, Elizabeth, it's just for Pentagon employees right now, but eventually they say they will allow it for the public. So if someone in Washington or Florida or California sees some UAP, some sighting, they would be able to report it directly on that website. Again, not just yet, but eventually.
All right, but let me get this straight, Joe. The only things that will be uploaded on this site are things that are declassified, right?
Declassified and what the government calls resolved, meaning there was a question about what this thing was in the sky, and they've resolved it, and they put that report with pictures and video. So again, when it comes to the unclassified things, people may not be so satisfied. What we really want to get is what is still classified.
Right. The stuff that's classified is what everybody's interested in. The stuff that David Grush is talking about is classified. So it begs the question, are they just throwing us a bone to say, hey, here's this cool new site that you can go visit to look at the declassified videos, but we're keeping all the rest of this stuff secret. All right. Pilots, both military and commercial, to report UAP sightings, including in testimony before members of Congress last month. Ryan Graves is a former Navy fighter pilot, an engineer, and founder of the nonprofit Americans for Safe Aerospace. Ryan, what do you make of this announcement today?
Well, this is a step we've been waiting for a while, and it's a good first step. We can't really scope the problem both in the military and in the public until we do gather this data. So it is a step that needs to be done. Better late than never, but I'm anxious to see what type of information they're going to continue to populate this website with, and ultimately, what, to your point, what is held back and what is promulgated forward and how that decision is made.
How did it work when you were a fighter pilot flying for the Navy and you saw something, as you did, as you testified that you did, as you recorded, and you took a video of it? Was that video was instantly classified, right?
Not necessarily. The video, in fact, was classified, but not due to the nature of what we captured, simply because it was on a classified system in our aircraft when it was captured. And so it was already within that classified ecosystem, but the actual content itself was not classified. And we see the video here on the screen. It can be showed. It in itself is not classified. So as we see AARO receiving more information, there is going to be a lot of it that is classified. It doesn't necessarily mean the object in the video is classified, but it may come from a sensitive system or might be taken in a sensitive location.
You've said that pilots, especially more for the Air Force than the Navy you said is better at this, but that pilots in the Air Force were getting some pushback when it came to reporting these encounters or trying to submit these kinds of videos.
Certainly. And, I won't even paint the Air Force in too big of a corner because across all the service, I think there's a complete deficit in reporting on this topic. Even as soon as yesterday, I was speaking with some Navy colleagues, former colleagues of mine, that were even asking me, where should we report something that we just saw? So clearly the communication hasn't promulgated down to the rank and file quite yet. But again, having this website is a good place that we can now point to and say, hey, here's at least a starting point that we can get information from.
And finally, you've also talked a lot about the importance of commercial airline pilots being able to report these things too. This current new setup doesn't allow for non-military pilots to report or submit videos. So are you hoping that eventually it will be able to include commercial pilots?
That's correct. It does not have any type of reporting mechanism for commercial pilots. We are accepting commercial pilot reports at safeaerospace.org, and we're going to continue to do so, whether AARO steps up to the plate on that or not, because the demand is there, and we need to step up and help pilots right now.
It's happening a lot?
We're still getting emails every day. I'm speaking with new pilots that are seeing cases. Typically, when I'll report a case or I'll start talking about it, other pilots that were flying in the area will reach out and provide a different aspect or more information about that particular case. And often we'll hear these cases aren't just one night event. This will be reported over a week and a half.